maintained through diligent effort. Alara's gaze followed the upward dance of the flame. It twisted and turned, its form constantly shifting, yet maintaining an essential wholeness. There was a profound lesson in its ceaseless movement, a reminder that life itself was a dynamic process, a continuous flow of energy and transformation. Yet, despite its fluidity, the flame remained anchored, drawing its strength from the pool of molten wax. This duality, this capacity for both constant change and unwavering stability, resonated deeply within her. She found herself drawn into a silent conversation with the flame. It did not speak in words, but in light and shadow, in warmth and movement. It communicated a sense of primal energy, of pure, unadulterated being. In its presence, the complexities of the outside world, the demands and distractions that often vied for her attention, began to recede. All that mattered was the here and now, the simple, profound reality of the burning candle. The initial vulnerability of the flame, its precarious existence against the unseen currents of air, was a mirror to her own journey. Just as she had learned to navigate the wildness of her surroundings with respect and awareness, she had learned to nurture the delicate flame of her own inner life. This morning ritual was an affirmation of that ongoing cultivation, a practice of tending to the inner light that allowed her to meet the world with clarity and purpose. The gradual blooming of the flame from a mere flicker to a steady, vibrant presence was akin to the unfolding of her own consciousness. It was a process that required patience, a willingness to allow things to emerge in their own time, without haste or force. The subtle adjustments she made, shielding the flame, allowing the wax topple, were mirrored in the gentle guiding of her own thoughts and emotions, creating a fertile ground for intention to take root. The tactile experience of striking the match, the brief, sharp friction, was a physicality of the moments of disruption that often precede clarity. It was the necessary friction that allowed the spark of understanding to ignite. The subsequent bloom off the flame was the dawning of insight, the illumination that dispelled confusion and brought a sense of direction. Each morning, this small act was a reaffirmation of her capacity to navigate these transitions, to find light even in the lingering shadows. The warmth that spread from the candle was not just physical, it was an emotional and spiritual warmth as well. It was the warmth of intention, of a day begun with mindful awareness, of a connection to the elemental forces that sustained life. This warmth seeped into her bones, dispelling any residual chill from the night, both literally and metaphorically. It was an inner stirring, a gentle invitation to fully inhabit their own being. As Alara sat in the soft glow, the outside world began to shift. The pale luminescence that had filtered through the timbers now deepened, taking on the subtle hues of rose and gold. The sounds of the forest, which had been mere whispers in the dark, began to gain definition. The first tentative chirps of awakening birds, the rustle of leaves stirred by a nascent breeze. Yet the flame of the beeswax candle remained her immediate focus, a grounding presence in the midst of this grand unfolding. This was the genesis of her day, a deliberate ignition of purpose. The candle's flame was a silent promise, a visual affirmation that even in the absence of external directives, she possessed the capacity to create her own light, her own warmth, her own beginning. It was a powerful yet profoundly simple act, the hearth's first flame, and in its steady, unwavering presence, Alara found the quiet strength to greet the unfolding dawn, ready to receive its whispers and translate them into the vibrant tapestry of her day. The slow, steady burning of the wax was a visual metaphor for the passage of time, each molten drop a moment surrendered, yet each moment illuminated by the persistent, gentle fire. This was not merely watching a candle burn. It was participating in a miniature act of creation, a foundational ritual that set the tone for all that was to follow, a silent, radiant assurance that her day had truly begun. The soft, steady glow of the beeswax candle, now the sole sentinel against the lingering pre-dawn gloom, cast long, dancing shadows that played across thorough-hewn timbers of Alara's cabin. The air, still carrying a hint of the night's cool embrace, was beginning to awaken to a new scent, the clean, sweet perfume of burning beeswax, a fragrance that spoke of sun-drenched meadows and the diligent, tireless work of bees. It was a scent that grounded her, a whisper of the wild bounty that sustained her existence, a gentle reminder of the intricate web of life that pulsed beyond the sturdy walls of her sanctuary. With the flame established, Alara turned her attention to the next vital act of her morning ritual, the brewing of her customary morning elixir. Her gaze drifted towards the small collection of dried herbs meticulously arranged in small, earthenware pots on a nearby shelf. Each pot held a promise, a spectrum of 10 subtle energies waiting to be coaxed into manifestation. There were the vibrant green leaves of mint, promising clarity and a refreshing uplift, the calming scent of chamomile, a soft embrace for the mind, and the earthy richness of ginger, a warming balm to stir the sluggishness from her limbs. Today, her intuition guided her towards a blend that spoke of introspection and quiet resilience. She reached for the pot containing dried lavender, its delicate purple buds releasing a faintly floral, almost hypnotic aroma. Beside it, she selected a small handful of lemon balm. Its cheerful, citrusy scent a bright counterpoint to the lavender's soothing embrace. The final addition was a pinch of dried rose hips, their tart sweetness and rich vitamin C testament to the sun's vitalizing power, a tiny burst of concentrated sunshine. The selection was not a random act, but a conversation with the plants themselves. Alara held each dried herb between her thumb and forefinger, feeling the subtle textures, inhaling their unique fragrances, allowing their inherent qualities to speak to her. It was a communion, a silent acknowledgement of the life force contained within these withered forms. She understood that they were not merely ingredients, but vessels of memory, imbued with the energy of the sun, the rain, and the earth from which they sprang. Each dried leaf, each shriveled bud, held within it the echoes of its verdant past, a potent concentration of its essence. The act of selecting was akin to reading a story, deciphering the narrative held within each botanical offering, choosing the words that would best shape the unfolding narrative of her morning. With the chosen herbs carefully gathered, Alara moved to the simple, unadorned ceramic teapot that rested on a low wooden table. Its surface, smooth and cool to touch, had been warmed by the ambient air of the cabin. She gently placed the dried herbs into the belly of the pot, each addition a deliberate placement, a quiet offering to the brewing process. She imagined the steam that would soon envelop them, the hot water acting as a conduit, unlocking their stored energy, their fragrant secrets. It was a delicate dance of intention and material, a quiet alchemy that would transform simple plant matter into a potent restorative brew. The kettle, a stout, well-loved copper vessel, was already positioned on a trivet earth candle, its surface reflecting the warm, flickering light. Alara listened for the subtle stirrings within, the first whispers of heat transforming the still water into a simmering, energetic substance. It was not the aggressive boil of a hurried demand, but a patient, rising warmth, a gentle awakening of the water's potential. She watched it as tiny bubbles began to form, clinging to the bottom of the kettle before rising, a silent testament to the heat's steady progress. There was a primal beauty in this transformation, the inanimate water awakening to a state of vibrant animation, ready. 11 to embrace the waiting herbs. The moment the kettle began its soft, percussive song, a gentle, rhythmic steaming that signaled its readiness, Alara carefully lifted it. Her movements were fluid, unhurried, each step performed with a mindful precision. She held the teapot steady, her fingers encircling its comforting form, and began to pour the hot water. This stream, a shimmering cascade of pure heat, arced gracefully into the ceramic vessel, enveloping the dried herbs. A soft hiss escaped as the water met the foliage, a sigh off-release as the trapped aromas began to unfurl. The immediate aftermath of the pour was a sensory awakening. The air within the cabin, already imbued with the scent of beeswax, was now infused with a richer, more complex bouquet. The lavender offered its calming, floral notes, a gentle caress to the senses. The lemon balm countered with its bright, invigorating citrus, a cheerful uplift. And the rose hips added a subtle, almost imperceptible tartness, a grounding sweetness that spoke of the earth's generosity. Alara inhaled deeply, her eyes closed, allowing the fragrant steam to fill her lungs, to awaken her palate, to prepare her for the imbibing of this liquid essence. The color of the infusion began to deepen as the herbs steeped. The clear water gradually surrendered to a pale, rosy hue, a visual manifestation of the rosehip's contribution, tinged with the faint purples of the lavender and the subtle greens off lemon balm. It was a living watercolor, the pigments slowly bleeding into the water, each shade representing a different facet of the plant's combined energy. Alara watched, captivated by this slow, deliberate transformation, this quiet unfolding off color and aroma. It was a process that demanded patience, and understanding thatru potency could not be rushed. She placed the lid back onto the teapot, ensuring that the precious warmth and aroma would be contained, concentrated. The steeping time was crucial, a period of quiet communion where the water would fully extract the beneficial properties, the subtle energies, from the herbs. She allowed herself a few moments of stillness, leaning back slightly, her gaze resting on the gently dancing flame of the candle. The rhythmic pulse of the flame, the subtle warmth radiating outwards, the fragrant steam beginning to mist the air, all these elements coalesced into a symphony of gentle awakening. This act of brewing was far more than the mere preparation of a beverage. It was a ritual of intention, a mindful engagement with the elemental forces that governed the world. The water, heated by fire, was now acting as a solvent, drawing forth the life. 12 force held within the plants. It was a tangible demonstration of nature's inherent ability to transform, to transmute, to offer nourishment and healing. Alara saw herself as a participant in this process, a gentle facilitator, guiding the energy of the herb into a form that could be readily absorbed and integrated. The ceramic mug, warmed by a preliminary rinse of hot water, now waited on Thedable. It was a simple, earthy vessel, its unglazed base offering a slight roughness that felt grounding against her fingertips. Alara lifted the teapot, its weight a comforting presence in her hands, and began to pour the infused liquid into the mug. The stream was steady, a rich amber liquid cascading into the waiting ceramic, carrying with it the concentrated essence of the morning's chosen botanicals. The aroma intensified as it was released from the confines of the teapot, a cloud of fragrant steam rising toward her. As the mug filled, the deep, inviting color of the tea was revealed. It was a complex hue, a blend of amber and rose, with hints of pale gold where the light caught the surface. Alara observed the subtle interplay of light and color, the way the liquid seemed to hold its own internal luminescence, a testament to the potent life force it contained. She could almost taste it through her senses, the anticipated warmth, the blend of floral, citrus, and tart notes dancing on her palate. Before taking her first sip, Alara brought the mug closer, inhaling the steam deeply once more. It was an act of reverence, a final acknowledgement of the journey the herbs had taken, from their growth in the earth to their transformation in the hot water. This was not merely a drink to quench thirst or to stimulate the senses. It was an elixir, a brewed potion of the morning, intended to nourish her body, calm her mind, and awaken her spirit to the day ahead. The warmth of the mug seeped into her hands, a gentle prelude to the internal warmth that the tea would soon provide. Her first sip was slow and deliberate. She allowed the warm liquid to coat her tongue, to spread its complex flavors across her palate. The lavender offered its calming, ethereal notes, a gentle easing of any residual tension from the night. The lemon balm provided a bright, zesty counterpoint, a cheerful lift that seemed to cut through any lingering grogginess. And the rose hips added a delicate, tart sweetness, a subtle grounding that prevented the floral and citrus notes from becoming too fleeting. It was a harmonious blend, each element contributing to a balanced, restorative experience. As she drank, Alara felt the warmth of the elixir spread through her, a gentle wave of heat that traveled from her chest outwards, reaching her extremities. It was a